Hello everyone, welcome to Anonymous World. Hope you are doing well. This is the fourth episode of Security Talk series, and today I have Ansh Bhawnani, aka Bit in Tech, with me. So let's get started.
How are you? कैसे हो?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
First of all, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule for joining me for today's episode. Okay, how about we start with you giving a small introduction of yourself to my audience?
Sure. Hi, Vinayak. So, hi, everyone. My name is Ansh Bhawnani, and I'm an application for about 2.5 years now. I joined in May 2021, and it's a pleasure to be here with Vinayak to share my insights about AppSec and what all things we do. And in professional life, there are a lot of insights that I can share. A small intro about me. I also have a YouTube channel. People know me by the name of Pit and Tech more than my own name. So if they go on YouTube, they might find my channel or my videos anytime. I've been doing this stuff for about 7 years. I've been self-studying for 7 years. I started in 2016 when I got interested in computers. I had a computer at my home which I just used for gaming and stuff. And I have a whole story explained on my YouTube channel. They can watch it. But to just summarize, I started gaining interest from gaming and childish gaming stuff to hack stuff and do this type of phishing and stuff. And then I started to know about cybersecurity, ethical hacking, and then I started to read everything that came onto my plate, and started doing stuff, hack some basic websites, some of my friends too, and then all of a sudden I started a YouTube channel to share whatever I learned with practicals, theory, and stuff, and it started gaining traction. And hopefully, I I'm still going, and I hope to go more upwards and increase my reach to people. I hope they like my stuff and professional work in the industry, and to gain more hands-on, gain more ground level knowledge. So this is my small introduction, and I hope this session will be, and I believe this session will be more exciting going on for.
Sure. Thank you so much. That's great to know a little bit about you. So, as you know, today a lot of people talk about application security, product security, and everything. Could you please give an overview of what application security actually is, and why it's essential in today's digital landscape?
Yep, sure. So it is one of the most fastest growing fields in the recent years, if you talk about the domains in cybersecurity. And to understand, in my opinion, application security, you need to think from a developer perspective, because it's more of a development workflow and landscape than a security stuff. So if you know about software development, you will understand AppSec more better than anybody else. If you are familiar with that, there are a lot of phases that we know that we use in software development. In professional development, there are at least 5 to 6 phases that a software goes through, from a raw material to a finished product. So people will give more definitions. Many people will have 7 stages or even more than that. But in general, there are 5 to 6 stages right from the start. So it starts from analysis. You require goes to your design phase, how you design the application before even coding that. You all define what architecture, what design principle, and what platform you will use for your product. And there are a lot of questions for that. And then after design phase, you actually start coding that software, actually in your frameworks or IDEs. And after that, you commit your code, you store it somewhere in a repository, and then after that, you build your code software, you test it, and then it goes to deployment. So there are this 5 or 6 stages: analysis, design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So in all these stages, we have certain security principles that we need to follow, because every stage has its own work. And so I call it metamorphosis of software development. So any stage has their own set of rules and policies and technologies used. So in all the stages, we have different security principles to follow. And AppSec deals with all of those technologies and all of those processes involved to ensure the secure development life cycle through all the stages. It's a common misconception that we only test the applications which are already in production and which are already released. It's not the case. We actually handle all the whole complete life cycle, and that is what AppSec does. And for from the past couple of years, it has changed to a bit, and even it's changing now. It's obviously dynamic and evolving continuously, but as long as the softwares are developing, talk about, so we'll discuss that later.
AppSec is really very vast and it's focused on basically every stage of software development life cycle. Uh,
Yeah.
Nowadays, means frequently attacks happens and lots of new vulnerabilities almost come every day. So, in the context of application security, how has threat landscape evolved in recent years? And what new challenges you have observed and emerged?
So in terms of application security, we see a lot of changes recently, and I've been currently working for 2.5 years, and I've talked to the peers and I've talked to my management and those people who have been working constantly for about more than 10 years in this field. So previously there were a lot of this kind of attacks where we only need to know a certain bit about the application from a black box perspective, and then it was relatively easy to compromise a whole infrastructure just based on from an entry point through a web application or a web API or any kind of application. And we can actually go into the corporate infrastructure from a web application and do lateral movement very easily. And then if you have a web app in one server, it's possible to go entirely to the domain controller and compromise everything in that procedure, because once we compromise something, it is contained in that segregated environment. So network segregation has been improving a lot since the past couple of years, and blue teaming, SOC analysis has been really improved. So it is very robust nowadays that even a threat is coming inside the networks, it's very easy to detect it and also contain it. But it's also the other side of the coin that we know that threats are evolving and it's not easy to detect all kinds of threats. So also we are extensively using third party code and extensively using open source softwares these days. So we see a lot of trends in supply chain security nowadays, and we have this most common problem of not having visibility and transparency over our assets and inventories. So it's very difficult to track from where we are sourcing those softwares and where we are keeping it and what is being deployed onto what. So this what, where, and why has to be answered in this threat landscape. So there are many technologies that are being coming. APIs have been more popular now. Serverless computing have been more popular, and we also see quantum computing coming ahead, and we need to think about the cryptography in the post quantum world. So there have been a lot of changes, and I cannot talk enough about AI because everybody knows that. And we are facing these challenges, and we are trying to evolve and derive some solutions for this kind of challenges. And it's not a one day work. We are constantly working on it, and we are gathering intels, we are gathering education, and educating and training developers because we work with them the most. They are the ones who are responsible for the security of their applications. And as an AppSec person, we mostly care about applications and the platform. We are not exactly on the red team side who will care all about the infrastructure, but yeah, we work closely with those teams, and we have the insights what's going on in the industry, and these are the threats that have been changed and will evolve more in the future.
Okay, so you talked about using third-party integrations or open source. So, do they pose a major threat, or what additional challenges they bring in context of application security?
Yeah, so third party vendors, so they are being extensively used, and we cannot live without them. We know that we have an expertise, we have our own business that we need to run, we have a business in healthcare, we have a business in finance or any other sector. So we don't have expertise in all the security solutions. So there are already vendors in the markets who have specialties in particular products like threat intel, endpoint protection, phishing protection, firewalls, code analysis. So we outsource the products because we need to ensure that we constantly innovate. That's why we use third party vendors. And the challenge is we don't have the visibility over the risk. We don't have the visibility over the auditing that the vendors evolve and they employ. So there should be a proper auditing mechanism because we need to know how secure their applications are and what vendor they are importing in turn. So we know that the first level vendor is that particular person, and we also need to know that what are the second level and the third level vendors that they are importing. So that poses a problem, and also it's inevitable. It's a complex web of interconnected nodes in supply chain. So we have this current problem. We are trying to fix this problem with some procedures like SBOMs, software bill of material, so that we have a complete transparency over what open source and what third party products that we are using, what are the certificates, what are the dependencies, the sources, etc. So yeah, this is the challenge. And these third party vendors are also very big in the market. They are trusted. They have their own certifications, their regulations, their policies. So we have tried to be more transparent on the agreements that we make with them. And also, we try to assess the risk that they have in their products before even onboarding them, before even doing the POCs in that stage. So, as an organization in multiple sectors, and market, we are obliged to regulatory compliance. So we have to maintain the compliance, and also these vendors are compliance friendly. So if we import their products, they are very easy to be involved in our compliance strategy. So we don't have to take much headache of the regulatory headache. So yeah, it's inevitable, but there is risk involved, and it's not completely possible to mitigate that. But we we can know that they can be more vigilant and more aware about security, and we choose the vendors wisely, and they involve regular patches, and we as ourselves in our systems, from our side, we can be vigilant at the max, regular security updates, involve DevSecOps, make sure you have MFA on all the systems, make sure you employ zero trust, and always treat as the products from that you import as secure as not secure. So you'll be good.
Yeah, so it's like you need to do a thorough research on the third party vendor which you are going to integrate with, and the compliance plays a major role in that.
Yeah, so compliance is a major role, and it's very popular, and we cannot live without that. In previous terms, if you talk about physical supply chains, in the past couple of just toward the end customer. But now, even in physical security, there are a lot of regulations and quality checks. And in the cyber world, it's the same. We regularly do quality checks, and the best way to check it is regulations and compliance. So if you check the compliance, if you check the certificates of that particular vendor in a particular field that they are in, the auditing team does that. We have a dedicated auditing team, and even the vendors have the dedicated auditing team. Even if they don't have, we ask our auditing team to go to them and assess their posture on ground. So it's very mandatory, and it's very helpful for us to maintain standards.
So you told that there are lots of vendors available in the market, so there must be a lot of competition too. So how can an organization strike a balance between delivering the features quickly and also ensuring their security?
It's a very big headache. So, developers and security people have this fight regularly. And in AppSec, we facing regularly because there's a strike of balance we need to maintain between, yeah, you have a product, you have a business you need to run, and you need to make sure that all the products are released on time because there is uh, customer dependencies, and there are a lot of stuff that we need to think. But they think that task, and it's gonna delay their releases. But one thing that we can make sure is that for a proper functioning, and if the organization takes security seriously, we can ensure that the development side has it in the policy that you cannot go to production or you cannot release a product without signing off, without taking the sign off from the security teams. So we can take up to the management level or the governance level, whatever is the technological stack, whatever is their governance, the CTO level, that they approve that everything that is going to be released is going through a sign off cycle. That's what we do. But it's a headache for them because they believe that if they go through a sign off, they'll need to explain it to us. They'll need to thoroughly work with us, and then we go on, we manually test it, and then we come back with a response after some time. And if there is an issue found, we may block the sign off, we may block the release. But we make sure that we are not blocking it if there is not any new issue, because if the application is already in production and there is a new release and there is a new issue found, but that issue already exists in the production, but it's just found because we have updated our security products and we have updated the threat definitions in our organization. So in that case, we don't stop the high issue that is new, that is only because they have improved the code or they have added a new functionality, there is a critical issue. So we may block it because we know that it will hinder our business, it will make sure that we may face financial losses, we may face reputational losses. So it's our job to make sure that we are not releasing anything malicious, we are not releasing anything that can be exploited in the wild, because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility. And also, it's not just our responsibility, it's the shared responsibility between the developers and the security people. So it's very much recommended to have a sign off process. It's very much recommended to have developer education before they even ask us for the release. Before the release, we do thorough testing in the QA stage. Apart from logical and functional test, we also have security testing integrated in the testing phase. So as much as we can find issues earlier in that phase, we'll be able to fix it quicker. And in the sign off process, we won't be having surprises in the releases of those products. So yeah, there is a lot of headache, but the balance needs to be there, and we cannot just approve any release list like that.
There should be coordination among the developers and security people.
Exactly.
Uh, you mentioned about serverless computing, and also nowadays we hear a lot about CSPM tools. So, with the adoption of this cloud technologies and serverless computing, they must bring extra headache and unique challenges. So, how application security addresses these unique challenges?
So yeah, so the adoption of cloud and the increase in the cloud native technologies have introduced new challenges. So in this kind of architectures, we are extensively using infrastructure as code, IACs, and wherever code is involved, we AppSec people get involved, and it's our responsibility to maintain and manage those risks. So even in the cloud technologies, it's not completely safe, because if any infrastructure goes out of hands and if there is any risk involved, it's not just the responsibility of the organization using it. It's not in our control. We don't own it. It's the cloud service provider that needs to be looking into that and mitigate the risk. So the time gets involved, the effort gets involved. And other than that, there are unique kind of issues involved in cloud technologies too. Even in cloud, we know that there is a scalability concern. If we are using more resources, the resources will be more scalable, they will be granted, they'll increase the bandwidth as per the demand. So we need to make sure that the security solutions that we apply are also scalable. It's not just about 5,000 GB of data, and our security solutions only work for 5,000 GB. It will only need to be scalable if we scale the products. So and other challenge leakage, because if you involve IACs, if you involve configurations, it's the most common issues in cloud, the misconfigurations and the identity and access managements. So we need to properly ensure that whoever accesses the cloud has the proper access, and the least access, principle of least privilege and deny by default, should be the right approaches to approach those solutions. And also, if you have authentications, you make sure that you are completely in visibility of all the cloud assets that you own, because it's easier to have visibility over the in-house assets, but not easy to have cloud assets, because we don't exactly have the scope. We don't have the track of the scope. So yeah, serverless computing poses a whole new landscape of threats, but it's not a complete foolproof solution. And we know that we cannot keep everything in house, so we need to rely on cloud. And cloud is a very good model if you want to save cost, if you want to save time and just get going, ready to deploy your stuff. But in the whole supply chain, cloud comes as an integral part. So the cloud service provider also poses the same risk as we discussed in the supply chain. So that has to be audited, that has to be make sure of the compliance. So all these things come into place. Yeah, that's about cloud.
So one must be flexible and scalable, and also should know the best practices associated with clouds and serverless computing.
So even, yep. So that's what I said. Compliance and auditing, it's very important. And even cloud has third-party dependencies which it imports. So supply chain comes into place very, very often.
So how AI helps in mitigating these threats and vulnerabilities. Like recently, I heard that now ChatGPT is not limited till 2021 September. It can now browse online resources too. So how this AI and ML helps to resolve these like, security threats and automate the whole process.
So I would say AI is more on the defensive side as of now. It's not on the offensive side. It's not currently able, or it's not even matured enough to perform penetration tests or assessments of vulnerabilities. So as AppSec, essentially we are a purple team. So the red team side is not touched yet, but the blue team side is. So it's very much efficient on detection of threats and responding on those threats. So if there is a threat in the traffic that the signature checks, the traditional checks will not be able to detect, AI is very much capable of detecting those. And even I've heard that it has detected some 0 days in the past that are not even existing here, and we don't know the signatures of them. So we know that we can automate that. We can generate alerts, we can automate the responses. So we can define a policy, we can train the AI to just you can isolate that asset that's infected, you can segregate the network, you can quarantine the files. But it's not all on its own. We need to make sure that it just not blocks all the operations, because it needs to go through manual approvals before blocking anything. So yeah, some manual approaches are required, but it's very much efficient in blue teams, and they have to be involving manual efforts for correlation, of course. But all the logs that they have generated, they can train it, they can train the model through that log, so that in the future, if there is any more threats or evolving threats, that it can detect it again. So in the detection phase, in the response phase, we know that we can also push off WAF rules, or based off of AI. It can generate our own rules, and it can block the threats very effectively. Yeah, so it's a very efficient tool. But as of now, as in AppSec, we're still looking for some more solutions for penetration testers. It's not going to affect them anytime soon. We require manual efforts. And yeah, for secure code analysis, for static analysis, it's still efficient. Uh, so we are still using it. Many vendors have been using it. They have implemented already. Not all of them. I will not say it's very accurate, but it's doing the work, and we can be okay with that. But as of now, blue teaming, yes, that's checked. If you're working in blue teaming, that you need to be aware of those AI tools and how you can train those models, so that it's not conflicting with the public data. It's only for you. AI to be used very, very carefully, because the data, it's not regulated. Wherever it learns, it can apply everywhere. So yeah, you need to have a private AI model that your vendor provides you that does not conflict anywhere else. So yeah, that's the case.
So AI do reduce the efforts, but it also requires manual effort to for complete security.
That's right. Manual effort is not gonna go anytime soon, even in the blue teaming, because it cannot do all the operations on its own. It cannot do deployment of tools. It cannot do the POCs. It cannot sit with the management to discuss about what will be the next step, what will the next phase of this incident. So even if we raise the incident, we need to work with other teams to know that what is the root cause, what is the source of this incident, if it's a false positive or not. And yeah, AI is very efficient in reducing false positives, but on the overall operations, on how you will set up the AI, it's still on the manual hands. um, it's very much possible that it may misbehave, and it may be trained the wrong way. So it's still a child, it's still a child we need to nurture and raise carefully. Yeah.
So apart from this child AI, what other technologies or trends are coming in application security, and how is it changing the way we approach the security in today?
So a lot of the things that I've mentioned here is that the first of all, supply chain security is already a thing, and we all know that it's going to increase. And we have heard about recent supply chain attacks in the past couple of years. In 2023, they are even more. So we need to be more aware of all the vendors that we use and all the sources that we import our products from. Open source softwares, we cannot blindly import them. We should have a software composition analysis on all the open source products that we use, and thoroughly assess the vendors and make sure you're patched on your own, apply the latest patches, and have a good DevSecOps and SOC structure. Apart from supply chain, extensively API has been used and is being used. So it has its own uh, threats, it has its own risks. People usually care about web applications, they usually care about WASP top 10 for web. uh, API top 10 is still of vulnerabilities in that, IDORs, access controls, authentications, and rate limitings, and all of this kind of issues arise in APIs, and developers are still not convinced, and they are still not able to secure web applications rightfully. So, let alone the web API. So, it has to be taken more into account and given more attention to that. And as I mentioned about the quantum computing, so the current algorithms that we use for encryption, for TLS, for hashing, it's not going to work if we apply quantum computing on the mainstream, or even on for research purposes. So if it comes into the hands of some really dedicated attackers or state-sponsored groups, so it may be misused and all the encryptions will be cracked. So we need to think about how will the world of cryptography look like in post quantum. So that is a challenge as of now, and we are still trying to integrate those policies in our application development policies. So that is one thing. Apart from that, we discussed about AI and its future. In AppSec, AI is very helpful, and it's only going to aid in our work. It's not going to take any jobs. We still need to train them. It's a child. And for pen testing, for VAPT, for dynamic analysis, we still need manual effort. It's not going to, AI it's not in that market yet. And what else? Let me see my notes. Think. Yeah. So one more thing I wanted to talk about is zero trust security. So that I've mentioned before in my previous talks is that there will be a lot of issues in trust, because even in supply chain, we exploit the trust relationship between two organizations and two vendors. So if you have this trust, it's very difficult to check if a current scenario is foolproof or not, and if whatever we are using is true to the sense that we believe it to be. So zero trust basically means that you don't have any trust on any of your users or your tools or your automated objects. So every time you request access to something, you need to verify yourself. You need to make sure that you are the ones who is trying to access that, and your identity is verified. So MFA, 2FA, everything comes into this place, and every time we need to access something, we need to authenticate completely. It's not just I did something before, and on the basis of that, I'm depending on something else. And this time I need to slow down and do some less authentication than the previous time. It's all over again. So zero trust, it's gonna be the more encounter, the less trust we have in everything. It's not completely right in terms of moral perspective that we are not trusting anyone, but we cannot help it. It's like uh, so it's a whole landscape that we need to see, and we need to focus on our business. So everyone will be the same. It's an awareness thing. In the next few years we are going to implement that. So, and one more thing is that the automation in AI, it's going to have um, its own thing going forward. So more and more work will be automated. First will be the blue team that's going to be automated most of the task for detection and response, and then maybe in the going forward next 10 to 5 years we'll have something for offensive side, for pen testing side, that can be automated. But yeah, for now we can generate scripts. We can tell a use case what we need to do, dumb credentials or crack passwords, or put down some tickets, or do some reconnaissance or enumeration due to some scripts. So that simple scripts can be made by AI, or give them a code snippet. They'll try to find issues in that. But overall, the white collar work, or the work that cannot be automated, like POCing, procurement, onboarding, meeting and education and training, these are all going to stay there. And it's only going to increase in the future. The more and more risk it's involved, the more and more regulated will be the bodies. And we even have certain bodies already working in the US. It's less in India. We have seen Europe, we have seen US introducing this data privacy and regulation laws like GDPR, FedRAMP, uh, and all of that stuff. So compliance is going to be a thing. And compliance is basically, people misunderstand compliance as complete security. So if you are compliant, you'll have full security, and it's a very big misconception. So compliance really means, like, if I talk about, like, compliance says you need to eat food 3 times a day, but it doesn't say that what kind of meal you need to eat. So security exactly tries to find the issues and vulnerabilities and try to make sure that everything is secure throughout the life cycle. Compliance just makes sure that you are doing the assessments regularly and you are following all the standards. It doesn't exactly say what kind of issues and what kind of threats or risk are involved in your system and how can you fix that. So it's going deeper into that. For compliance, we can meet for the external bodies that are regulating us. We can tell them we are doing pen testing regularly for once a year or twice a year. It's just that. But what about the issues that we found? What about if something else goes wrong after we pen tested the same product, and there is an issue found by external researcher or some attacker in the production? So compliance doesn't fall. Compliance is not working in that case. So we need to go deep into something and make sure that we are not fooling ourselves. We are just making sure that everything goes according to the policy, and we are thoroughly pen testing everything and assessing it.
It was very insightful. Thanks for explaining it in a very clear and smooth way. So, how about we wrap up it with some advice that you would like to give an individual to pursue a career in application security, and what skills he or she can focus on?
So, young hackers or young enthusiasts who want to pursue a complete career in application security, I get a lot of queries from people who want to have a career in cybersecurity, but they are not very aware of AppSec and what we do. That's why this session will be helpful to them. So, what my advice would be, the first thing that AppSec does is involve in the development cycle in the SDLC. So, SDLC is all about code. It's all about design principles and the architecture. So first thing that you need to do is to learn code, because people keep away and they try to escape from coding and programming, and they see cybersecurity as an escape to that, because that's completely opposite. If you are in cybersecurity, you need to know how to code and how to read code. Actually, you don't even at first need to write code, write exploits, write frameworks. I'm not going to say that go that deep, but you just need to have a clear understanding of how programming works and how this software development works. It's about assessing, it's about testing, it's about designing and everything. So first thing is to know, have familiarity with code, do some developments, and then go on to security. So if you are well versed enough in coding, it will be very, very easy for you to get into security. So I know many people who are from a development background, who have like been a software developer for 8 to 10 years, and they switch to application security in cybersecurity, and they are way better than the ones who don't know how to code, and they are way technical than them, and they are way more growth friendly than those people, and they grow much, much faster than them. So that's the first thing. And regularly stay updated with those threat landscapes. And it's generally for every field in cybersecurity. You need to stay updated. You need to stay aware about everything that's happening, about the latest trends. Try to learn everything. Whatever you learned 5 years back is not going to help you to get a job today. So learn everything for supply chain, IoT, blockchain, AI, zero trust, cryptography, every concept that I mentioned. And there's a whole lot of syllabus that you need to learn. OWASP top 10 is the first thing. Be thorough with all the application trends, not just about web applications. We don't only do that. We do web APIs. We deal with mobile applications, thick clients. So everything that goes into developing those, you need to learn all the technologies. And we may get any type of application that we did not expect. So it's not just about PHP. Writing code is specific. I'm just telling about have a general understanding of that. So, and then just make sure that you're patient. Make sure that you regularly practice. You have hands-on experience on attacking, on pen testing, and secure code review, and you have good understanding on the policies, application developments, and all the things revolving around the development and the life cycle of deployment and everything involved. So you will be good. Just don't take much stress. Uh, be good at programming, and you will crack it.
Thank you so much for joining today and giving some wonderful insights and advice. It will really help everyone from beginner to pros. It was really great having you here, and I wish we will do some more sessions in future. I will,
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah, so it was a pleasure having you with me, and then we can share insights about AppSec. And thank you for calling me in this call. I hope people will have more insights, and if they want to have a career, they'll gain much more guidance and even the trends that are happening. And we want to see more professionals working in AppSec because it's growing and it's constantly growing. The threats are going, so we need more skillful people here. The demand is more, but we don't get the proper supplies. Yeah, we know. So yeah, that's good, and I appreciate this work because there are not many good people doing good stuff on YouTube, and there are a lot of stuff that are conventional. We don't see many podcasts or cyber talks here, so it's very good. I hope we see that, and yeah, all the best for your future. You're still very young, and it's a pleasure to see people like this at this young age to do some great things like that. So all the best.
thank you so much. So I will be dropping your socials in the description so people can connect with you. That's
All
it.
right.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Thank you all. Thank you, and goodbye.